A few months back, I did a health checkup and found out that I had slightly abnormal liver function test, and my ultrasound showed grade 2 fatty liver. So I was quite worried because I've heard that fatty liver can cause cirrhosis and lead to cancers and so many other problems. So naturally I wanted a medical opinion. So I went to a modern medical practitioner, and after waiting for about half a day to see him, he looks at my reports, he looks at my ultrasound, and then he prescribes 3 medicines for me and asks me to consume them for a month and then come back after a month. But I had a lot of doubts and I had a lot of questions. So I asked him, how is it going to be? How will I get a cure? Because I wanted a cure from this fatty liver. So he just said, take these drugs, consume these drugs, and then come back to me after a month. He prescribed me Udiliv, vitamin E, and something known as Silimarin or Silbon is what he gave me. And these were actually expensive drugs, and I did not know what effects and side effects they had, but the doctor prescribed me, so I'm going to take it. So I took them for a month, and then when I repeated my blood test after a month, I saw that the liver test had slightly reduced, but my fatty liver was still grade 2 on ultrasound. So I was quite disappointed, and I went back to him, and again after waiting for half a day to meet him in the OP, I showed him the results, and he said, okay, you have 3 drugs already going, so add this 4th drug. And he gave me another drug which was even more expensive than the other 3. So I asked him, doctor, my fatty liver is still there on the ultrasound. It's been a month and I have been consuming these drugs. What to do? So he just looked at me and said, listen, I asked you to do a blood test, but now you have done an ultrasound also. If you want to treat yourself and check yourself, please do it on your own. Otherwise, you follow my advice. So I was quite flustered with that response, because I wanted him to ask me about my other problems, my worries, and also how to go about this, in the long term. So I went back, and I was not very convinced about these expensive drugs, and I put this up with my cousin brother. So he's an intelligent guy. He knows a lot of stuff because he actually spends a lot of time on WhatsApp. So he knows a lot of stuff. So once this came to him, he said that, oh my God, you're such a fool. It's so easy to treat fatty liver. And this actually spread like wildfire about my fatty liver in the family groups in WhatsApp. And I started getting a lot of fantastic advices and responses. So the eldest cousin of mine told me that, these modern medicines have a lot of side effects. So you have to do something that is very natural, which is very safe. And he asked me to try Ayurveda. So I found out the best Ayurveda practitioner who would actually help me out with my fatty liver, and I went to him. And it was fantastic, totally different experience. So I went there. This Ayurveda practitioner, I showed him my blood reports and my scan, and he just kept it aside. He took my hand, he checked my pulse for a moment, and he said, what does your report tell you? So I told him, my report tells me it's fatty liver. Exactly, you have fatty liver disease. Your pulse also tells that. So he diagnosed fatty liver with my pulse after me telling him that I have fatty liver. So, and then he said, I asked him, how do I go about this? So he said, no worries, I have time, you have time, let's sit and talk. So he asked me a lot of things about my food and how I sleep, when I sleep, what I do. It was a 2-hour session. I was so satisfied with it. And then at the end of it, he prescribed me a bunch of herbs, some syrups, and asked me to do yoga in the morning and come back after 1 month. So I asked him, how does this work out now? So he said, don't worry. Fatty liver disease is easily curable from Ayurveda point of view. It is just Pitta dosha. We have Vata, Pitta and Kapha doshas, and your Pitta dosha is very, completely turbulent. It is bad, so we have to balance it. So these herbs will do it for you. So I said, okay. But then before I left, he said, no, most important thing, I have not told you yet. So he said, diet. I was very happy because nobody has asked me about diet and counseled me regarding diet. So he said, avoid meat, fish, eggs, milk products, oil, spices and salt. So I said, okay, so what am I supposed to eat? So he said, you eat vegetables, fruits and rice gruel. And that has to be for 1 month, and then you have to do yoga in the morning. Don't forget that. So I was like, I'm going to be starving, but still my pitta dosha should be okay. So I went ahead with the advice. Over a month, it was hell, but I lost about 4 kilos and I was very weak. And after a month, I mean, even before completing a month, maybe after the end of 3rd week, I went and got myself tested for the liver function test and the ultrasound, and magic, beautifully, the ultrasound showed grade 1 fatty liver from grade 2. So something that modern medicine could not do. So I was so happy. And then came the liver test. The liver test showed my SGOT, SGPT was much higher than it was before. So I got terribly worried, and I ran to this Vaidya again and I showed him, see, my blood reports are showing very high SGOT, SGPT levels, and but my fatty liver grade has come down. What's happening? So he said, don't worry, in Ayurveda, everything gets worse before it gets better. But I was not so convinced, because what if it gets really worse and I land up in liver failure? And from that moment onwards, I was not very convinced about, following the starvation protocol and the herb protocol and yoga. So I left it. So this news that I was actually suffering and my disease is actually getting worse, actually spread like wildfire, and now it has reached my aunt level, the top tier of WhatsApp conversations. So aunties came to know, and one of my aunts, actually my mother's sister, she said that all of you are just fools. The new generation, they don't know anything. Doctors also don't know anything, because there is a treatment which can actually, help you so much without any side effects. And I was like, wow, this is it. This is the treatment that I want. No side effects, because I was worried that after taking Ayurveda, some things that are not supposed to happen happened, and now I am getting something that is going to work without the side effects. So she asked me to go and meet this practitioner nearby home and gave me an address, and I went there, because it seems that this particular practitioner, my aunt's friend who walks with my aunt in the mornings, her friend's dog is actually taken care of by one girl who comes to their house, who is their neighbor. And that girl's mother's cousin had some liver issue, and she got better with the medicines that this particular practitioner gave. So that was like really fantastic evidence, So I went ahead and met this person, a very sweet man. He was a homeopath. So I started talking to him, and I started listening to what he has to say to me. So the homeopath asked me so many questions, and he actually took even more time and spent more time with me than the modern medicine practitioner and the Ayurvedic practitioner. So he was like the cherry on top for me. So he asked me from my childhood what movies I like, how I sleep, what time I go to the bathroom, how many times I urinate, what is my favorite song, what are my favorite colors. I mean, it did not make any sense, because these are not health related, but then this guy was so sweet. Homeopaths are so sweet. So he asked me a bunch of these questions, and ultimately he tells me that, my vital force was not working properly. So I asked him, what is the cause of fatty liver? Because the modern medicine doctor did not tell me. The Ayurvedic practitioner told me it was pitta dosha. It's your vital force. The vital force is not right, so you have to get the vital force right. So I'll prescribe you some pills and some small liquids, in some small bottles. You take them over a month, and then you'll be fine. So he was so assuring, and so I believed in him. And he told me one thing specifically, that what I'm going to give you is actually fatty liver of duck. I said, why are you giving me as a medicine fatty livers of ducks? He said, my friend, like cures like. You have to fight fire with fire. So this is what homeopathy is all about, which science cannot even understand. And I don't think even I understood, and I don't think even he understood, but then he believed in it, so I believed in him. So he gives me, so I said, I don't want to take duck liver. I mean, it's yucky. He said, don't worry, there is no duck liver in it, because I have diluted it so much that the essence of the duck liver is there, which will help you, but there is no duck liver. So I said, but if there is no duck liver, how will I get cured? So he said, don't worry, the duck liver's essence is there. You will have no problems, and mind you, this is diluted, so you will have no side effects. So I asked him, how much is this dilution? He said, you don't want to know. And he specifically told me, no diet control. I was so happy. He said, you want to eat anything, you eat. No issues. Just go ahead and enjoy your life and take these medicines specifically as I tell you to. So I went ahead and I actually ate whatever I felt like, pizzas, burgers, you name it, samosa chaat, chicken momos, anything and everything. And I enjoyed my life, took the homeopathic pills, and after a month and a half, when he asked me to do the test and come back, I did my liver function test, and actually my liver function test improved so much from what it was after the Ayurveda. But my grade 1 fatty liver had become grade 3 now. So I was like, what's happening? And all the weight that I lost from the Ayurvedic treatment, I gained more than that during these 1.5 months. And I went back to the homeopath and I said, listen, my liver functions have come down, but it's become grade 3 fatty liver. So he is like, don't worry. In homeopathy, everything has to get worse before it gets better. So I was like, but even in Ayurveda, is it like that? He said, I don't know about Ayurveda because I don't criticize things that I don't study. So, but in homeopathy, it is like this. I go where everybody actually goes when they have to find real answers. So I said, I'm going to go to Google. And Google I did. And I said, I'm going to Google. I'm going to identify problems that I have myself and I'm going to treat myself. So I used Google to its maximum extent. So I started searching for everything on fatty liver on Google, and I went to the best place where all informations were available on Google, and I found out YouTube. So I came to YouTube, I typed in fatty liver disease management, and I got this long list of videos telling me what to eat, what to take, drugs, you name it. I mean, doctors were nothing compared to what YouTube has. But I figured out that, the people actually telling us or telling me through YouTube how to treat my fatty liver were actually computer engineers and lot of gym trainers. And again, the biggest hits were on Ayurveda and homeopathy practitioners' advices, so I just left it. I didn't know what to do. And I had to find out a way to treat my fatty liver disease. I'm sure a lot of you would have actually gone through the phases that I went through. So this is the reason why we need clinical doctors, clinical scientists, researchers to spend time with you, the patient or the family, to discuss what is right evidence for prevention and management of disease conditions. Welcome to my channel, TheLiverDoc. I'm excited for this channel and I hope you are too. So if you are ready, let's go.